Welcome back to Try Biz International. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by Endurance Sports Wire and by Babbittville.com. One of our favorite guys, the man from STRAVA, Mr. David Lorsch. David, how the heck are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Bob.
All right, well, talk into that microphone thing.
Talking
Come
on
on,
microphone.
yeah.
Right. Hold it up like I'm
exactly.
a pro. Right.
So 2.5 years with STRAVA. What
Yep.
was it that attracted you to STRAVA to begin with? Were you a user yourself?
I was a member. I was an active user. I think the company started in 2009.
Yeah.
I actually started using it in 2010, so I was a pretty early user.
Yeah.
And really fell in love with the product. But I think what attracted me to join the company was the vision that we had to really build this social network for athletes and help connect the world's athletes and get them motivated, inspired, and try and find a way to really unlock their athletic potential. So it's a pretty exciting mission for the company has.
What I loved from the very beginning was the whole idea that you're a local cyclist and you can go online and post your workouts, and
Yeah.
other people can talk smack, and
Yeah.
they can go after what your time was. And
Yeah.
was when you first got into it, how long was it before you realized, oh my God, this is really special?
I think it was actually pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, just very early on, the idea. I actually joined. There was this early on. We had this challenge up in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And it was between a bunch of cycling clubs to see who could climb the most vertical feet over the course of a year.
Yeah.
And so I was participating in that challenge, and I just saw myself and my friends really getting hooked on this way of
And getting
connecting
fit.
and competing, and absolutely getting fit. So I think that's really one of the things that drew me in. But over time, one of the things that's happened with Strava is that while the competition aspects are really important, we also find the social aspects to be really critical as well. So it's not just about trying to be as fast as you can,
Right.
or put in as many miles as you can. It's also about sharing the experience along the way. And so that's why we've got a lot of new things in our application around the ability to share photos and actually share the experience of the ride, not just how hard you rode or how hard you ran.
And at first, it was primarily a U.S.-based app, right? Now it's international. How big is the international side
Totally
gotten?
global. So 75% of our members are actually outside the United States.
Really?
Yeah, and
that's just been the last couple of years.
yeah, it's really changed in the last couple of years. I mean, it really was when we became a mobile company and a mobile app that we were able to get into a lot more markets. We've internationalized it, so we're in basically every major language in the world. But right now, just this year, Brazil became our third largest market, which is
Really? What's
pretty interesting. First two are the U.S. and the U.K.
Okay.
Not surprising.
Yes.
But yeah, Brazil overtook Australia. It's a huge market and growing really fast for us. So.
And everything started with cycling, but you obviously running has become part. And so is cycling still the biggest part of it?
Cycling is still the biggest part, but running is pretty close.
Okay.
And we actually have probably 20% of the folks on Strava are multisport athletes. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're a triathlete, but
Right.
it means they're doing both cycling and running, or cycling and something else.
So where does you're here at Try Business.
Yeah.
So how does that fit into the future of Strava?
It's an important part. I mean, we see, as I said, a lot of multisport athletes
Yeah.
on Strava. We know that there are some of the most active and engaged athletes out there. They're training hard, and we want to do a better job of serving them. It actually turns out that the third most popular activity on Strava is swimming. So
So cycling, running, swimming. What a
so
surprise.
it probably says something about the number of triathletes that are already on there, even though it hasn't necessarily been a focus of ours in the past. But going forward, it's something that we are going to focus harder on.
Expanding into other sports as well?
Eventually, I
Okay.
think eventually we will. Our view has always been to do it. You got to do it right. You got to build a product that actually serves that specific sport.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just go out there and say, "All right, we're going to serve skiers or we're going to serve snowboarders." It won't feel authentic.
Right.
So when the time comes to do it, we'll do it in a way that actually appeals to them and feels authentic.
And what this year, anything special? Anything brand new that our watchers should know about?
Well, I think I can't tell you too much, but in general,
Come on. There's not just that camera right there. It's just me and Gaff right here.
I think what you're going to see again is an emphasis on these social aspects of Strava.
Right.
So a lot of the things you see in other social networks about ways for athletes to communicate with one another, ways for people to socialize around groups more effectively. So like your local cycling club,
Right.
your local triathlon club, or even a large organization. That's really where we're putting a lot of the emphasis today, and just making that experience experience much more engaging and enriching.
When I was listening to Andrew Messick talk this morning,
Yeah.
and he talked about the growth, obviously, in Asia and
Yeah,
China, and
yeah.
is that a target for you guys as well?
Yeah, no, we're looking at China. We're not there yet, but we just are in the process of internationalizing the app so that
Yes.
you could actually use it in mainland Chinese. And I think there's a good chance that we will actually be available in China this year. So.
Love it. In your specific role, what are you doing?
What do I do? That's a good question. So I lead strategy and business development for
Okay.
STRAVA. So it's basically helping the management team think about the long-term direction of the
So
company.
something like China.
Something like that,
Yes.
as well as working with all the partners that are around our company. And so it's a pretty big ecosystem. It's all the
Right.
device companies, other software companies, other technology companies, events. So, working with all those folks.
So you basically partner with all sorts of different groups from around the world.
Yeah, no, we work with a lot. Done a lot of stuff with the device companies to
Right.
Make it really easy to get your data into Strava and make the experience when you're out there running or riding even better.
When one of the things we're dealing with the sport of triathlon is what I call it the endurance entertainment marketplace. We've got Spartan Race and Tough Mudder and Color Run. There's so many events and so many options out there.
Right.
And obviously sometimes triathlon can get lost in the shuffle a little bit. As somebody who is a triathlete, what do you think the sport needs to do to continue to be relevant?
Well, I think I think continuing to just make it a great experience for the athletes when
Yeah.
they race is really critical. And I know, there's a lot of events like Ironman that do a really good job of that, but sometimes they're not the best experiences.
Right.
And I think, it's all about that event day and making it an experience that athletes can walk away and say, not only did I accomplish something, but
Right.
it was an awesome experience along the way.
Your favorite event day that you've had?
Favorite event day that I've had? I really love this race up in Sonoma, the Vineman 70.3.
Oh,
race.
yeah.
It's a classic race, been there for a long time.
Legendary.
Tough race, always hot, but when you finish that race and you get that Coke at the finish line, it feels pretty good.
And that run, people talk about, there's a hill on a bike. That run is harder than people think.
It's a little harder than people think. It's a little hillier, yeah. Especially when it's 90 degrees. Yeah.
David, thanks so much for
Yeah,
taking
thanks
time.
for having me,
Always a
Bob.
pleasure. David Lorsch from Strava has been
Thank
our
you very
guest.
much.
Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.